gehen rein. Crazy NBA Facts. Elfrid PAYTON versus SHAQ und T-Mac. Digga, bin ich mal gespannt, was sich SHAQ hier wieder für ein Video ausgedacht hat. Geh mal rein.
What if I told you that an NBA player managed to pull off the impossible?
Bleibst du gesund, bin weg. Bleibst du auch gesund, Bruder, ne? Ich hoffe, deiner Familie geht's gut. Hau rein.
A stat line of 0 seconds played and 1 turnover. What? How is that even possible? At the end of a close game against the Lakers, Toronto's coach at the time, Dwayne Casey, inserted Rasul Butler for the first time to inbound the ball. Butler couldn't find anyone, so he called a timeout. But the refs decided this was a 5-second violation. So Rasul was then subbed back out, and since the clock doesn't start until he passes the ball, Butler finished the game with the stats of 0 seconds and 1 turnover.
Crazy, right? Sit back, I've got much more of these. What up everybody, my name is Stefan and this is Heat Check. Let's get into it.
Bruce Bowen was a crucial piece of the Spurs championship runs in 03, 05, and 07 as one of the league's best defenders. However, one strange fact about him is his inability to make his free throws. Bowen shot a horrific 57.5% for his career,
Digga, das sind ja SHAQ-Werte.
Despite being a terrific 39.3% shooter from downtown. The most improbable thing would happen for him during the 2002-2003 season, when Bowen led the league in three-point efficiency with a fantastic 44.1%. But on the flip side, his free throw shooting was abysmal at only 40.4%. And with that, he had a season where he shot better from outside than from the free throw line. Unbelievable. Watching these highlights of the 2004 All-Star game, the nostalgia hits hard. Superstars like Kobe, SHAQ, Iverson, McGrady, KG, and Yao. At the time, the high-flying Vince Carter was always the top vote getter for this game. But who would you say was a close second? Well, let me help you out and tell you that it's none of the guys I just mentioned. Unbelievably, right behind Vince was Ben Wallace. Yeah, a defensive-minded center with 9 points per game. It's crazy how popular he was back then, as well as that entire Detroit Pistons squad. They actually led the league in attendance for 8 straight seasons. In March of 07, Kobe went ballistic and scored 4 consecutive 50-plus point games. In fact, he started off with 65 against the Blazers, a 50 against the Timberwolves the night after, then 3 days later got another 60-point game on the road against the Grizzlies, and the very next day, 50 again on the Hornets in New Orleans. On the other hand, Dwayne Wade only had 3 such games in his entire career.
Da kommt nicht mal James Harden ran.
Versus the Magic, Jazz, and the Knicks. So, as wild as it sounds, Kobe had more 50-plus games in 1 week than Wade had his entire career. Moving on, throughout the years, the Magic have had a few superstars on their team, from Shaq and Penny to Tracy McGrady to Dwight Howard. All of these have managed to record a triple-double for this franchise, but none of them is the all-time leader in this category. Believe it or not, that player is Elfrid PAYTON. PAYTON had 8 triple-doubles in an Orlando uniform, which is more than all of these legends combined. And speaking of unexpected, Kelly Oubre has games with 9 made threes, which is more than Kevin Durant and LeBron James, who have games with 8 made triples. This sounds extremely weird, even though James is not known for his three-point shooting, and that is especially the case when we talk about KD, who is lethal from outside. One of the teams that I wish won a
Kevin Durant hat so einen Playstyle, Digga, dass er erstmal sich ein bisschen so einshooten muss, von wegen Green Machine aktivieren oder so, weißt?
Championship was the Russ and KD Thunder. They were amazing to watch, especially in their last season together. But did you know that in their first season together, the 08-09 OKC Thunder started 3-29? That's right, 3 wins in 32 tries. By the end of that season, they finished with a 29-53 record. But the very next year exploded for a 50-32 record, one of the craziest single-season turnarounds of plus 21 wins. They got to the playoffs, and even though lost to the champions that year, the Los Angeles Lakers, the league took notice and saw the incredible talent that was on this team. That season,
Aber gegen die Kobe Lakers zu verlieren ist halt auch keine Schande.
The 9 rotation players had an average age of just 23 years. And on the other hand, Wilt Chamberlain was 50 when he got an offer to come back to the NBA. 13 years after.
Sowas wird auch nur Wilt Chamberlain bekommen, außer vielleicht noch LeBron James, Digga.
After his retirement, the New Jersey Nets contacted Will's agent to see if he's willing to play out the remaining 7 games of that season for an offer of $360,000. As Chamberlain would say it himself, he kept himself in phenomenal shape, working out and playing some kind of sport almost every day. That's incredible. Though this was never finalized and he didn't make a comeback, you can see from these.
Will Chamberlain noch der einzige Typ, der eine Hall of Fame-Karriere in Basketball hat und danach nochmal eine Hall of Fame-Karriere in Volleyball hat. Und nicht, weil er einfach berühmt war, sondern weil er so gut war im Volleyball.
Clips that he would have been able to play in the league even at 50. And speaking of all-time greats, we all know that the Finals MVP award is named after the late great Bill Russell. But as counterintuitive as this sounds, during his 11 championships with the Boston Celtics, Russell was never named the MVP of the final series. Wow. Next, here's a...
Das ist hart, Digga, aber Bill Russell ist auch eher dafür bekannt, einfach zu gewinnen, Digga. Und die Trophy ist so das Ding, womit du Leuten zeigst, okay, Bruder, du bist der größte Gewinner dieses Jahr.
Nice little trivia for you. Who do you think has the most 3-pointers made in the last 5 seasons? This is a trick question, so you know it's not Steph Curry. He's number 3 on this list with 1,200 3-pointers made.
Bruder, wer ist der, die meisten Dreier in den letzten 5 Seasons geworfen hat? Tyler Herro? Pass auf, Tyler Herro? Ich glaube, Tyler Herro.
Number 2 is James Harden with 11 more. And funny enough, the guy with the most 3-pointers made in the
Der war gar nicht so lange in der Season, ne? Bla, Bullshit.
past 5 years is Buddy Hield. This is the case because
Okay, ist wild.
all of the usual suspects like Steph, Dame, and Harden had seasons where they missed a big portion of the season, as opposed to Buddy, who as you can see has 69 threes more than Steph with 134 more games played. And here's another tricky fact. Andrew Wiggins has more career points than Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid, who are in the same draft class as him. But
LOL. Er ist halt einfach immer da, ne? Andrew Wiggins nie krass
not
verletzt.
only that, he has more points than Kawhi Leonard, who was drafted 3 years before him. Despite never really fulfilling his number 1 pick potential, Andrew Wiggins has carved out a really nice career. And of course, the cherry on top was becoming a champion this year. Now this stat really blew my mind when I read it. Check this out. Since entering the league, LeBron James has won 40 out of the 105 Player of the Month awards. This type of dominance on a consistent basis is astonishing, especially when we compare him with the rest of the list, and number 2, which is Kobe Bryant, has 17. James continues to break all types of records, and I guess we're all just witnesses. Kawhi Leonard is the ultimate cyborg defensive player. With eyes on the back of his head and enormous claws, he can snatch every ball away from his opponents. In fact, so far in his career, Leonard has accumulated 1,013 steals and only 988 fouls. He has more steals than fouls, and that shows just how good of a defender he is. According to StatMuse, Jimmy Butler is the only other active player who also has more steals than fouls. Butler has 1,127 steals and only 996 fouls. So, huge credit to these two guys for their work on the defensive end. And speaking of that, Tyson Chandler won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 2012, and right after that, it was Marc Gasol who earned that honor. What these two centers have in common is the fact that they were voted as the best defenders in the league, but then were left out of the All-Defensive First Team in their respective seasons.
Das All-Defensive First Team ist immer schwierig, oder allgemein, Digga. Da sind Spieler dabei, oder da sind beziehungsweise Spieler nicht dabei, wo du dir denkst, Bruder, die müssten doch eigentlich alleine das Team bilden. Weißt du?
This happened because of the Defensive Player of the Year award voting is done by sports writers and broadcasters, while the all-defensive teams are chosen by NBA coaches, who pick a first and second team by position but cannot vote for their own players. And in a tight race, it's possible that a player gets the award but fails to make the first team. Golden State and New York are connected by two players in a very interesting way. The Warriors went 16 years without an all-star player, The drought lasted from Latrell Sprewell's All-Star selection in '97 all the way to David Lee making the team in 2013. And the universe works in mysterious ways, since the Knicks also had a 9-year All-Star drought, as Latrell Sprewell last got in 2001, and it spanned all the way to 2010 when it was broken by, you guessed it, David Lee. Now that is truly hard to believe.
Drop a like for this fun video and let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. That's it for now. Subscribe and talk to you in the next one. Peace out.
Ja, Bruder. Absolut wild. Absolut wild, Digga. Gut, dass wir uns das Video noch angeguckt haben.